Hello students, good morning. In this tutorial, we will be discussing multiplication of polynomials. We will review first multiplying simple monomials times monomials, and then monomials by any polynomial, and then multiplying binomials as a review from the previous lesson. And then we will focus on multiplying the most complicated. It's multiplying a polynomial with any number of terms by another polynomial with any number of terms as well. Now, here are concepts you need to recall. Don't worry if ever nakalimutan nyo na, we'll try to explain them as we go along. Before we multiply a polynomial by another polynomial, let's go back to basics first. Now, let's recall, how do we multiply a monomial times another monomial? Let's say we're given, for example, 4a times 5a squared. Now recall from our previous lessons that to multiply 4a by 5a squared, we have to group the numerical coefficients first, meaning 4 times 5, and then group also the variables, meaning a times a squared. Now the reason we can do that is because we have the commutative property of multiplication, which states that we can rearrange these terms since they are in multiplication form. Also, we can use the associative property of multiplication, meaning we can group yung mga magkakapareho, in this case, the constants and the variables. So after that, we can deal with the constants first. We multiply numbers like ordinary numbers. So 4 times 5 is simply 20. And then, how do we multiply variables again? Recall the product rule of the law of exponents. When you have the same base, for example, the base here is a, they're equal, we simply copy the base and then add the exponents. Recall that a has actually an exponent equal to 1. So in effect, it's just 1 plus 2. Again, it's by using the product rule. So simplifying, we now have 20. A, what is 1 plus 2? 3. Therefore, the product of that monomial by this monomial is equal to 20a cubed. Okay, let's level up. What if we are given a monomial times a polynomial this time? For example, we're given 4x times this polynomial here. Now, one way to do this is by distribution, of course. So 4x, we multiply it by this one. We can set up muna para hindi ka malito. So let's do that. We have 4x times 2x cubed. And then copy this sign. So we have plus. And then distribute 4x to this one. So again, we can set it up 4x times 5x squared. And then again, copy this one. So we have plus. This time, let's distribute 4x to x. So we have 4x times x. And finally, distribution also works with subtraction. So copy this one. We have minus. So distribute 4x to negative 9 in effect. Or we can say that 4x times 9. So we have 4x times 9. Okay, after that, we can now multiply again by using rules of exponents. 4 times 2, numerical coefficients first, we have 8. And then x times x cubed, they have the same base, so copy the base, we add the exponents. Of course, this has an exponent equal to 1. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. Plus, multiply the numerical coefficients first. 4 times 5 is 20. And then variables, we have x times x squared, same base. So copy the base and then add the exponents. We have 1 and 2. So in effect, we have cubed here. And then plus, we multiply 4 times 1 here. It's 4. And then of course, we know x times x is x squared. And then finally, minus 4 times 9 is 36. And then copy x. Therefore, this monomial times that polynomial is simply equal to this one. Take note, what we used is distribution property. We distributed the monomial 4 to every term in this polynomial. Well, we can call this as the horizontal method of doing things. Horizontal. Okay, now there is another way of doing it. Well, it's vertical. But don't worry, it's still based on distribution. So let me copy this same trinomial here, and then this monomial. Now, what you want to do is distribute it vertically. Now, meaning you multiply this first, followed by this one, and then that one, and then finally this one. So, galingan natin, and just be careful. Let me put the bar. So, multiplying 4x by negative 9. Negative 9 times 4x, we know, is negative 36x. Now, distribute it with positive x. So, x times 4x, we know, is positive 4x squared. Next, multiply 4x this time with positive 5x squared. It's positive 20x cubed. And then finally, 2x cubed times 4x, numerical coefficients first, 2 times 4 is 8. Then x cubed times x is x to the 4th. In the end, we get the same answer. So the answer is 8x to the 4th plus 20x cubed plus 4x squared minus 36x. Now, of course, kapag ginamit mo ang horizontal format, medyo malilito ka ng konti, lalong-lalo na pag maraming terms. Whatever happens, whether you use horizontal or vertical, you should arrive at the same answer. Now, let's try to multiply this time a binomial times another binomial. Let's say we're given 2x minus 6 times the quantity 3x plus 2. So we have a 2 term here, and we have 2 terms here. We know from a previous lesson that we can distribute 2x and negative 6. But that's for another video. Let's recall a faster way of doing this, and it's by using what we call the F.O.I.L method. Now, what does F.O.I.L stand for? F are the first terms, meaning, in this case, take note, every binomial has a first and last term. So, when you say first terms, it means multiplying these two terms, the first terms. And then outer are these two terms. And then inner are these two terms. And then finally, the last terms are these two. So, let's set it up first. Let me have a guide, F.O.I.L. So, setting it up, let's write first the product of the first terms, f. We have 2x times 3x, and then plus. The outer terms are these two. So we have 2x times 2, plus. The inner terms are these two. Now again, reminder, negative belongs to 6. So it's negative 6, don't forget the sign, times 3x. These are the inner terms. Finally, plus. The last terms are these two. Again, include the sign, negative 6 times positive 2 or simply 2. After that, we can multiply and use the rows of exponents. Numbers first, 2 times 3 is 6. X times x, rows of exponents, copy the base, add the exponents, which is 1 and 1 here. Plus, 2x times 2, just multiply the numerical coefficients, it's 4x. And then, the I is negative 6 times 3x. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18 and then x. So negative 18x. Well, we can write plus negative 18x here. Or simply, to make it quick, we have negative 18x or minus 18x. And lastly, negative 6 times 2 is plus negative 12. But we can make it faster by simply writing minus 12. Now, usually, outer and inner can be combined. As you can see, we have 4x and negative 18x. They are like terms. So combining, we have 6x squared. 4x minus 18x is negative 14x. And then minus 12. As you can see, all our answers here are already in descending order of degree, so we have arranged them correctly. So that's how you multiply a monomial times a monomial, a monomial times polynomial, and a binomial times a binomial. What if we are given a polynomial multiplied by another polynomial? Meaning we are given a polynomial with any number of terms times another polynomial with any number of terms. How do we do it? In this lesson, we will be presenting 3 ways. These 3 methods are all based on the distributive property of multiplication. You may choose whatever is comfortable for you. Some methods, though, may have an advantage over the other methods when used. Let's present all of them and then you can decide which one works better for you. The first one is called the horizontal form, something that is more familiar to you. So we're given 2x plus 1 times x plus 3. We notice that this is a binomial times another binomial. Of course, we can use the FOIL method here. But let's try by distribution. So, meaning we distribute 2x to x and then distribute 2x to 3. So, let's start first by doing this one and setting up our equation. We have 2x times x and then plus. We distribute 2x by 3. We have 2x times 3. Then plus. This time, we distribute the second term 1 here. So distribute 1 to x. So we have 1 times x plus. And then lastly, we distribute 1 with 3. So 1 times 3. Simplifying further by rules of exponents, 2x times x we know is 2x squared. Plus 2x times 3 is 6x. Plus 1 times x is x. Plus 1 times 3 is 3. And as usual, we should always simplify what we can. So, let's try to combine like terms. We have 6x and positive x. So, doing that, we have 2x squared. What is 6x plus x is 7x. And then plus 3. So, finally, we have the product of 2x plus 1 times x plus 3, and that's by using the horizontal method. Now, of course, an advantage of the horizontal method is it's something that we're familiar with, distribution. However, ang problema minsan, we have to rearrange the terms dito. And it's really hard for some to look for like terms. In this case, aapat naman yan, so it should be very easy. But if it gets more complicated, medyo mahirap maghanap ng like terms. Okay, now another method is called the vertical method. What you want to do is again use distribution. However, we have a basis. Let's try to recall multiplying numbers. For example, we're given 312 times 21. Now, from your elementary days, how do you do this again? What you want to do is distribute first yung 1. Multiply 1 by 2, then 1 by 1, and then 1 by 3. Let's try and do that. 1 times 2, we know is 2. And then 1 times 1 is 1. Take note the alignment of numbers. 1 times 3 is 3. After that, we distribute the tens. 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Make sure it's aligned. 2 times 1 is 2. Finally, 2 times 3 is 6. And then finally, we know, of course, that we should add these. We have 2. 1 plus 4 is 5. And then 3 plus 2 is 5. And then finally, 6. So the answer is 6,552. Now, let's do a similar method in solving the same binomial. So, let's write them vertically. So, we have 2x times x plus 3. They're the same here. Okay, this time, the very first thing that you should always do is make sure that our terms are arranged in descending order. So, let me write that. Descending order. That's the key here. Meaning, the constant comes last, and then yung mga variables, arrange them depending on their degree. Okay, so these are both arranged in descending order. The constants come last. Let's start. Distribute 3 first. 3 times 1, we know, is 3. Make sure you write the sign. And then, distribute 3 to 2x. 2x times 3 is 6x. Next, we're done with 3. Let's distribute x this time. X times 1, we know is x. Now take note, we should align it with the term that also has x as the literal coefficient. And of course, the sign is plus. And then finally, distribute x to 2x. X times 2x is 2x squared. And just like multiplying numbers, we end this by simply adding our terms. Now we combine like terms. Yung 3, wala naman siyang like, baba natin. And then, as you can see, automatically, magkakatapat na ang ating like terms. Not like this one that we have to look for like terms pa. Dito, because we arrange them in descending order, automatically, madaling i-align ang like terms, madaling i-add. What is 6x plus 1x? It's 7x. And then, 2x squared, wala siyang like, it's 2x squared. Notice that this is the same as our previous method's answer. Now, the last method, it's called the box or matrix method. Now again, the key here is, from the very start, you should arrange them in descending order of degree. Meaning, let's say we're given a binomial 2x plus 1 here times x plus 3. What we want to do, since we have 2 terms times another 2 terms, we have a sort of 2 times 2. We have 4 boxes arranged like so. And also, arrange the terms in descending order of degree. So 2x, write it here, and then 1. And then x, write it here, and then 3. Now, recall our multiplication table. Parang pareho lang yan. Let's multiply. For example, let's distribute 3 first. So distributing 3 meaning, let's multiply 3 by 2x. So 3 times 2x we know is 6x. Of course, we write it, or we write the product in their intersection like so. Okay, now, let's try to multiply 3 by 1 this time. So 3 times 1 is 3. Again, let's write it in their intersection like so. Just like any multiplication table. So we're done distributing 3. This time, let's distribute x. So x times 2x we know is 2x squared. And then finally, distribute x to 1. We have x times 1 is x. Now, what is the final answer? As usual, we want to combine like terms. But can we arrange them in descending order of degree na kaagad? As you can see, the highest degree is 2x squared. So let me write that 2x squared. And then, notice the diagonal. They are like terms. So 6x plus x is equal to 7x. And then finally, plus 3. So, we get the same answer just like the previous 2 methods. So again, just like the vertical method, box or matrix method is a little more organized. Therefore, still much better than the horizontal method. Okay, let's try to multiply this time a trinomial by a binomial. Naku, ito na yung pinakamaraming terms that we have multiplied. So, we have 3 terms here, and then we have 2 terms here. Now, how do you do this? Again, take note, we are based on distributive property of multiplication. So, why not try to distribute 3x to each term here, and then afterwards, distribute negative 2 to the same 3 terms here. Okay, so doing that, let me set it up first. Let's multiply 3x by this one. We have negative x squared times 3x plus. So this time, multiply 3x by this one. So we have 5x times 3x plus. This time, multiply 3x by this one. So we have negative 1, be careful with the sign, times 3x. So, distributing 3x, done. This time, be careful, distribute negative 2. Meaning, multiply it here, then here, and then here. So, doing that, we now have plus. We have negative x squared times negative 2. So, ito yon. Okay? And then after that, ito. We have plus 5x times negative 2. Plus, finally, ito, we have negative 1 times negative 2. Take note again, be careful, we should always include their signs. Okay, so multiplying further, we have negative times positive 3 is negative 3. Then deal with the variables. X squared times x, using the rules of exponents, it's x cubed. Next, multiply these two numbers first. 5 times 3 is positive 15. Then x times x is x squared. Next, negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. Plus negative 3x is the same thing as minus 3x. Next, negative x squared times negative 2. Negative times negative is positive. And then 2 times x squared is 2x squared. Next, 5x times negative 2 we know is negative 10x, or it's the same thing as simply minus 10x. And finally, negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. So you write positive 2. Okay, now let's combine like terms and at the same time arrange in descending order of degree. Anong pinakamataas na degree dito? We have 3. So may like term ba siya? Wala. So we write that first. And then after x cubed, x squared, let me underline this. And then underline its like term here. So 15 plus 2 is equal to 17x squared. And then after x squared, descending order, it must be x. Now let me double underline this as my guide that these are like terms. So negative 3x minus 10x we know is negative 13x. And finally, the constant plus 2. So we have combined like terms and at the same time arrange in descending order of degree. Although medyo mahirap maghanap ng like terms. So let's try to do the vertical method. Now, first thing to do, according to our previous example, is arrange the terms in descending order of degree. So, question, are the terms already in descending order of degree? We have x squared, x, and then constant. Done. X first before the constant. Done. So, let's distribute first negative 2, just like multiplying numbers. So, negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. Next, negative 2 times 5x is negative 10x. So we write it here, negative 10x. Next, negative 2 times negative x squared is positive 2x squared. So let's write it here, positive 2x squared. So distribution of negative 2 done. Let's distribute 3x next. So 3x times negative 1, positive times negative is negative. 3 times 1 is 3x. So negative 3x. So make sure you align it with the like term on top. Okay? So 3x this time, let's distribute it to positive 5x. It's 15x squared. As you can see, ang ganda because it's already aligned sa like term sa taas. Of course, the sign is positive. And finally, 3x times negative x squared. Sign is negative, negative 3x cubed. So let's write that, negative 3x cubed. So, last step, we add these terms. These are already aligned, therefore it should be easy. Negative 10 minus 3 is negative 13x. And then 2 plus 15 is positive 17x squared. And finally, wala naman siyang like, simply copy negative 3x cubed. As you can see, this is the same as what we have got from the first method. Okay, now, just be careful when dealing with vertical method. When solving, make sure that our solution is a little to the right. Kasi ang tendency is, there will be some space needed on the left side. So make sure you write on your notebook to the right side ng konti so that you have ample space for your product. Okay, last one, the box or matrix method. Now, just like the vertical method, it's very important that we arrange the terms in descending order of degree before writing in this matrix or table here. Now, unang-una, how many squares or cells do we need? We have 3 terms times 2 terms. So we have 3 boxes by 2 boxes. And then arrange the terms, negative x squared, 5x, and negative 1 in descending order already. And then finally, the last factor, we have 3x and negative 2, as you can see here, are arranged in descending order already. And then distribute negative 2 to these 3. So distribute it first to negative 1. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. As you can see, just like a multiplication table, we write the product sa tapat nilang dalawa. And the next, distribute negative 2 to 5x, it's negative 10x. And finally, negative 2 multiplied by this one is positive 2x squared. Negative 2 distribution done. 3x naman tayo. So 3x multiplied by negative 1 is negative 3x. Again, nakatapat doon sa kanilang tapat din. 3x times 5x is 15x squared. And then finally, we have 3x times negative x squared is negative 3x cubed. Now, what do we do next? Combine what can be combined. It's very easy because you should, as you can see, arrange them in cells and it's very organized. So let's arrange them in descending order of degree. The biggest term here or the biggest degree is this one. So may like term ba siya? Wala po. So we write negative 3x cubed. So Cube done. Next, squared. Where are the x squareds here? We have this group. Again, just like the previous example, naka-diagonal. 2 plus 15 is equal to 17. Then copy x squared. After x squared is x. So as you can see again, negative 10x and negative 3 can be combined. It's negative 13x. And then finally, the constant 2. As you can see, pareho lang dun sa previous na dalawang method. So, there are many ways of multiplication of polynomials. My favorite is the vertical method because it's more organized and, well, at least it's something familiar because it's just like multiplying numbers. But you can also use the box or matrix method. Pero the least that I would use kapag medyo marami ng terms is the horizontal method. But whatever method you use, you should arrive at the same answer. You are now given a chance to answer some exercises. You can use any of the 3 methods presented in this video. You can pause this video to do this on your own. Don't worry, the answers will be shown later. You can try this now and pause the video. Kaya yan, go! Here are the answers and solutions using the vertical method so you can check. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy solving!